And then myself and another gentleman, we took it over. We own it 50-50. And we're not, again, we don't do it to make money. We're doing it to try and save money and to help other shops and to get buying power.
I'm just trying to help. If you're trying to get more technicians to find you, then you need to be selling how awesome it is to work at your shop on your social media platforms. Hey, I'm Brad from the Garage Grit podcast. I'm your host and also co-founder of AA Shop Marketing, a digital marketing company for auto repair shops. And listen, if you're trying to grow your shop, if you're trying to improve, if you're trying to find ways to help your community, all of that, you're in the right place. You're at the right podcast. If you are just satisfied with the green dollar bills in your back pocket, if you have any, and you don't like customers, then this probably isn't the podcast for you. But I like this episode. I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a great conversation with Dale. He was on a podcast episode that was published back in November of 2025, a shop owners panel podcast. So that's worth checking out as well, and hear from Dale twice. And actually, Dale, at this point, if you're open to it, I'm planning on having you back down in the future as well. So this is going to be good. But let's talk a little bit about who you are. Why don't you take a moment to introduce your shop, plural shops, and tell us a little bit about yourself. Go ahead.
Wow. Well, Brad, thank you very much for having me again. I really do appreciate it. And it was fun doing the first one with you. So first one for me, but anyway, so I got in the automotive repair tire business. My dad started a company in 1958. Okay. We were a 2-bay operation. And I grew up in the business, and we were a Firestone dealer. And basically, I grew up because, I needed a job. And my dad hired me to change tires, and that's what I did. So I went to school, and then after school, I'd go start working for him. And, and I didn't know what I wanted to do in life, but I want to end up, graduating high school, went to college, got a degree in business management, and worked all through my college years, worked in the business. And then my brother and I, he's the oldest of 8. I'm the youngest of 8. And so it was kind of a good match, Brad. We were, he was the old school, and he kind of taught me the old school way. And then I was the new school, where I really liked technology. That's where I brought a lot of stuff into the business, as far as point of sale and stuff like that. So
was there some pushback on paper versus digital?
Oh yeah. Yeah. He said he could do it much faster with a pen and paper versus, typing it out on a computer. So,
and I agree. At 5 words a minute, he probably could. I'm sorry to rip on your brother. I don't even know him.
So when I started with him, we were a 2-bay operation. Long story short, I moved it to another location. We went from 2 bays. At the previous location, we went to 4 bays. Then I moved it to this one. We went to 7 bays. Currently, it was 9 bays. Then we bought some property across the street, bought an oil change shop. Then I bought another business further north of this business. And then my son and my nephew, they end up buying another location in the Norwood area, which you and I kind of talked about a little bit. And, so we've gone from one tiny 2-bay operation, which actually started, Brad, with my father changing tires outside.
Okay.
No bays, did it outside. And that's
again, pleasant in the wintertime.
Yeah. And doing it since, 1958. So, it was a great combination going into work with my brother. And, I've kind of explained to you is, one of the things I did was I was part of a 20 group, and I didn't reinvent the wheel a lot of times. I borrowed, and they had great ideas, and that really, really helped me out a lot. And one of the things that they came to me, and as a 20 group owner, they were like, you need to get off the counter. And so here I am, younger, 15 years younger than my older brother. And I had to come to him and say, hey, listen, I'm going to keep you on the counter, and then I'm going to go in this office and I'm going to work on the business, not work in the business.
All right. So hold on. So at that moment, the two of you were at the counter at the same time.
Correct.
And had you digitized things yet? Probably not. It was still paper and pen.
Still paper and pen.
And then you went away and said, we're digitizing things. That was a rub. Okay. Keep going.
Yeah. So, excuse me. So one of the first ones we finally digitized the business, and I was actually doing both. I was a technician, so I was working on cars. Then the phone would ring. He was busy. And so I'd have to stop what I was doing. And I was driving myself crazy. I said, I can't do it anymore. Finally, we got on the counter with him, and then, started going to the 20 group meetings. And then again, I moved into the office, and the smart thing that he did was said, okay. He's like, he had full trust in me, and he knew that I was moving the business and I was taking it to a different level. And so he said, okay, whatever you think, I'll support. And he supported me something fierce. And, it was a great partnership. I usually get pretty emotional when I talk about him. Again, he was, the oldest of 8, and I was the youngest, and we were the only 2 left in the business. So,
okay. All right. Well, I was about to ask that question: if the other 6 moved away or is in the business in a different city, or whether.
So it's funny is so my second oldest brother worked at a place called River Downs, which is a horse track, and he managed it, and he got tired of gamblers. And so he came to us one day and said, hey, I want a job, but I don't want a job. I want to be an owner. And so we owned an oil change shop at the time, and it was doing, pretty good. And we actually had another brother that was running it. So literally there was 4 of us involved. So hired my brother, and I said, here you go. You're a third owner of the oil change shop. He bought in. He didn't get it for free. He bought in, and he took it over, and he really did a great job. The unfortunate thing is he fired my other brother.
Okay. Okay.
He had to fire him.
I'm sorry. Is this a sitcom or a history story? I mean, I don't understand what's going on here. Like, it sounds like it sounds like a TV show, right? So
yes, it does.
Okay.
But so he took the oil change shop to a whole nother level, and he became a partner.
So why did he? No, I'm kind of curious. I'm sorry. I want to derail the story a little bit. Are you free to talk about
sure
what the brother was fired for? What the brother was fired, and how that played out at the
so the brother he fired.
Table.
Yeah, the brother he fired. He was actually the manager of the oil change shop at the time, and he was kind of stubborn and headstrong, and he wasn't running it the way my brother wanted it run, which is how we wanted it run, how my oldest brother and I were trying to get it that way, but we just, we didn't have enough time to focus on it. So,
and was the 4th brother that got fired, was he part owner or no?
Nope.
Okay.
Nope.
And so
he was offered a position to be a partner when I first opened it, and he declined it.
Okay. All right, well, that's what you get then. That's interesting. I got to tell you, there are times when I think about how sometimes it's even in a technician deficit, sometimes it is easier to replace than it is to retrain. And I hate that thought process. Like, it hurts me to say that. But sometimes when someone is so obstinate about, no, this is how it's done, you're just.
Well, you and I talk about this a little bit. Sometimes you have to have the people on the bus that believe in what you're doing. There was a gentleman that was in my first 20 group. It started, his name was Norm Gaither, outstanding young guy. And what he always had a picture of was a picture of the ark with a woodpecker poking holes in it. And basically what he would call that person that was difficult, he would call him a woodpecker. And literally they're sinking your ship going down, and you just don't know it, and the hard decisions that we have to make. And with the lack of technicians out there and stuff like that, I had a phenomenal tech, but he wasn't on the bus.
And so you got rid of him even though you were short people?
Correct.
And how long ago was that? And what did that look like?
That was probably 2 years ago, and skyrocketed since.
But not immediately, right? Because you were short people, so you couldn't. I mean, talk to me a little bit about that.
Yeah.
At first, it was a scenario where you couldn't keep up with the work because you were short a level A tech.
Yes. Yes, it was very difficult, and just like you
Okay.
said, our sales went down a little bit because he was a good producer, and but we were able to get through it, and we hired a gentleman that I'd been after for years, and finally it was the right time for him, and he came and joined us, and we haven't looked back since. And he's an A tech, and I've known him for 30 years. And I kept, every time I saw him, I say, "Hey, when are you going to work for me? When are you going to work for me?" Well, the last time I saw him, I said, "When are you coming to work for me?" He says, "I'm coming."
Now, okay.
And, but you're right. Brad, it's a hard thing.
It's
It's a hard
scary.
thing for people to do. It's a scary thing, right? You're
Yeah.
absolutely 100% right. But in every case, it's the right thing to do. You
So,
get
all right.
through it.
So, hold on. So, you have two B techs, one C tech, and one A tech, and he's a brilliant a diag guy. Brilliant, right? Like nobody else on your team can diag the way this guy can do. But he's the problem. You're firing him. You don't have any prospects lined up. Like, do you fire him before you line up those other prospects? You just like he's the cancer. We need to get him out. We will what do you do tomorrow? You've got to diagnose that that BMW in your shop, or or the Chevy in your shop. What are you going to do?
So I talked to other people that would help me out. If I didn't have a good diagnostic guy that could help figure it out, I would rely on some other shops that were close to me that would help me out. Possibly I would sub that job to them just to get through it.
Even if you have to break even, at least that you retain the customer.
Retain the customer. I mean, that's a huge one, Brad. You're absolutely right, is retaining that customer. I use an example. There was a gentleman that sent us an American car. They were a foreign car shop, sent us an American car, and he didn't want to work on it, so he recommended us. So the customer came to us, we fixed his car, and then he said, "Hey, can you give me a price on some tires for his foreign car?" We gave him a price on tires, and he's like, "Wow, okay. Well, you're cheaper than the place I'm currently going to and have been going to for 20 years." So you see what happens. So I end up putting those tires on, not trying to take a customer from them. I'm not trying. I just did my job of pricing it out. So that's right, Brad. I was trying to retain the customers. And so that's what we were trying to do, is if I didn't have someone that could figure it out. Now, we did get a little bit lucky as far as that goes, because it wasn't a long period of time when I was able to talk the next A-level technician to come work for me.
What is it? 1 month, 2 months, 2 weeks?
About 1 month.
Okay. Now, I want to also zone in on that or hone in on that story about you just said about the tire pricing and whatnot. When you are subbing it out, if you're subbing it out to another shop, like you drop off that car at the other shop, you bring it back to your shop, you actually look it over with your B-level technicians and give it your stamp of approval, and then pass it on to the customer. The customer does not need to be interacting with that other shop, because if they do, you might not be able to retain that customer. Is that kind of your point there with that story?
100%.
Yeah.
So they would sub it out, and we would list it on the work order, everything that we had done. We didn't break it down parts and all that stuff. Typically, and we would just put it down as the price, and that's how it was. And just like you said, I mean, I was just trying to retain the customer. We weren't making money on it or anything like that. I'm trying to retain that customer. And just like, it is scary, but I mean, I think they're out there. I mean, I think there's creative ways to find these guys. I mean, do you know how, the way I got my A-Tech? I was in his place of employment. It's a huge dealership. I won't sugarcoat anything. And I won't walk into someone's shop and steal a customer, but I was picking up parts, and I talked to them all the time. And so I just
you're not talking about walking into a shop, another independent shop,
would
and trying
never
to
do
steal
that.
employees or steal customers.
100%.
In this situation, you were there to conduct business, and while you were conducting business from the dealer, you talked to a technician while you were there, right? Is that how that went down?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I do not agree with anybody. I had a guy walk in my store from another competitor, hands this business card to me and says, "Hey, I'm looking for so-and-so." And I go, That's the gentleman sitting next to me. His name was Chris. And he goes, "Oh, And so he says to Chris, he says, can I talk to you outside? And, and I'm like, so he goes outside with him. I let him say, go outside. So and the guy offered him a job. And I said, the nerve of you. I
Right.
would never do that. And it's not thought of, you know.
Well, no, right. And so did Chris stay with you or did he leave?
Oh, he's there. He's a
Okay.
lifer.
Okay,
He's a
good.
lifer.
All right. Yeah, no, that is really interesting. Like that is kind of a over the top.
Yeah.
We've
But I
helped
mean,
we've helped with
key,
repair shops like try to find technicians, and one of the ways that we've helped people to do that, right, is and this is not, I'm just trying to help. If you're trying to get more technicians to find you, then you need to be selling how awesome it is to work at your shop on your social media platforms. And then they will find you. And then if you're doing that, then you could take step 2, which is to run an ad in that area saying that you're, looking for new team members. And, you're going to frame that a certain way to make it less overt or white noise. But even still, by having that first step of selling how great it is to work at your shop on your social media platform, customers love that and new employees love that. And then you don't have to go to those other places potentially and find them, they find you, right? It's not quite that simple, but it absolutely helps.
great idea. Great idea. So, I have seen some other shops do that, Brad, where they interview their employees and say, hey, what do you like working? How do you like working here? And what do you think? And, how's the conditions? And, and that's the other thing is like, I put into the Blue Ash location that I have, I've put about $1 million into it, but that was to fix it up. I put a garage door in one of the bays. It's downstairs, but it was a solid door. You couldn't see out or anything like that. There was nothing wrong with it. I replaced the whole garage door with an insulated door with windows that they could see out. And why did
Let there
For
be light.
morale. Yeah, sunshine.
Right. Yes.
See a little sunshine,
Right.
and so I fixed up everything I can for them. And I continue to do that. I believe that, just like you said, I mean, I don't want to have to go out and look for employees. I want them to come find us.
Mm-hmm.
You know, let's see, perfect example is I wonder how many shops are open Saturdays. Saturday's a huge day. I shut it down.
Even at your express oil change location?
No, the oil change shop stayed open, and
right.
that helped.
No, but that actually matches the nature of that business, right?
Yes.
So, and just so that the listeners understand, he's got Dale's got 3 locations, or affiliated with 3 locations. He and his sons. That's a better way to say it, right? You and your sons have 3 locations,
Correct.
And then a 4th location is that are repair. Then the 4th location is just an oil change shop, and it feeds the repair shop, from what I understand.
Absolutely, it's right next door. Right next door.
Yeah.
But the reason, I mean, I came.
I'm sorry. Is it on the same side of the road, or is it across the street?
Same side of the road, but there's a street that separates them.
Okay.
They're on each corner. They got 2 corners locked up.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
one of the things is I went to my employees on a Saturday and I said, hey, listen, this isn't working. We're only working till 1:00. Most people get there 10. And, hey, I stripped my oil drain plug out, stuff like that. We're trying to do timing belts, and customers are like, I got to have it back. I got to have it back. I go, well, if we run into a problem with parts, so I went to them just to say, and I said, hey, look, we're going to take off Saturdays. If this doesn't work, we're working full time on Saturdays. And I'm telling you, business went up. The morale went up. They absolutely loved it. Now I was part of a 20 group. And when I was in the 20 group, of 20 of the guys in there, there was only 2 of us closed on Saturdays. I bet you go there now, and I bet you over half of them are closed on Saturdays now.
If it's only half, I'm wondering what's going on with that first half, right? Because I hear this time and time again. I close Saturdays, I make more money. The revenue went up, your profit margin went up, the employees are happier. And the customers did not seem to be put out of place, off put. So, and so now I keep coming across shops who are, well, if it worked on Saturdays, does it work on Fridays? And so I know of a bunch of shops that are doing half day Fridays or partial, or, and they're cutting back on Fridays, going to that 4-day work week. And I have a few clients who, the one in particular, he just goes on and on about it. He loves it. He loves it. And he loves having that 3-day weekend because it allows him more family time.
Yeah.
So that's interesting.
Oh yeah. And last, I mean, again, I have 5.
He's doing 10-hour days on those 4 days.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Go ahead.
I have 5 children, and I work 6 days a week most of my life.
Okay.
And, I miss baseball games, football games, things with my kids that I didn't go to because I was working.
Yeah.
And it gives your employees a chance to spend time with their families as well.
Yeah.
And that's one of the reasons why we did it, so, and it's worked out. It's worked out pretty well. So,
okay. All right. So cancel Saturdays and spend time with the
work for
family.
everybody. Doesn't work for everybody.
Right.
Remember that.
Yeah. All right. So look into canceling Saturdays and look into how much your employees' lives and your life would be improved, and explore that. Okay. But not if you're an oil change shop. Okay. So let's go back to, you mentioned buying, the pricing of the tires, and I wondered whether or not the other shop that couldn't compete with that same pricing simply didn't have the same relationships that you had. And in that particular story, I mean, I guess what I'm really trying to say is these independent shops, there were a lot of times they're not spending enough money with their vendors to get the discounts that the big box guys get. And you have an approach that you handled that, you addressed that there in Cincinnati. Can you tell us a little bit about the buying group that you've created and how that came about?
Yes. So basically, I was constantly talking to different suppliers, whether it was tires, oil, parts, uniforms. I mean, everything. And, and I would always say, well, I want to get the same price as the big box store over there. Oh, and you can't get that. I mean, they're such a large company, and I just got tired of that. And so I went to 4 shops in our area, and we started talking about it. And I said, listen, let's start a buying group. And this is how it's going to go. We're going to start the buying group, and we set up an LLC. We started it. And what we did is we had one guy that went to other shops and told them what we were doing. Say, hey, look, we're going to start this buying group. There's a big price to get in, and you pay this price, and then you pay a due every year. You pay your dues every year.
Why is there a price to get in?
We price it because we do all the negotiating, and then what we do is we wine them and dine them. We'll either take them to a couple different country clubs. And
you're a lobbyist group, but instead of politicians that you're lobbying to, it's vendors.
Yes, instead of that, okay. Exactly.
Okay.
Perfect. We're a lobbyist group, but we're going. So basically, what we're telling them is we needed some money to start up because we needed to go in there and get people to sign up for it, and then we have meetings 3 times a year. So we can't eat that. I mean, our meeting is $7,000. That's what it costs. Sure. I mean, we wine them and dine them at steaks. It's just open bar and stuff like that. But
when's the next one?
Please.
Oh, I'm sorry. When's the next one? I just got to put it on my calendar.
Yes. Yeah, we just got done with one, and it was really great. And
good.
We had a tool vendor come in, so they love that one. So I can go into that a little bit more later. But basically, we got people to sign up, and we had our first meeting, and we told them everything that we're going to do. And then what we did is everybody gets that phone call, the tire guy, the oil change guy, the oil salesman, this salesman, that salesman, and we all dread it, right? Well, they don't do that anymore. We do that. So we have, now it's 2 of us. We do all the negotiating. So we negotiate the deals for oil. We negotiate deals with tires. We negotiate all of the deals. They don't have to do it. They just get the deal. So one of the ones we did is an oil, is oil. Okay. One of the biggest things we use is oil, tons of it.
Sure.
And we went to one of the oil manufacturers and or distributors that we have here. And we said, hey, this is how many shops we have. And then we figured out how many gallons we were pumping. And so, boom, able to get a really good deal on oil and, save the guys a lot of money. And we did that with everybody out there. And it's
now, let's say a 2-bay shop. Does the 2-bay shop pay the same due as the 12-bay shop?
Yes.
And does the 2-bay shop get the same discount that the 12-bay shop gets?
No.
Okay.
He gets a better discount, and he'll get a rebate. We do a rebate as well.
No, wait, no, hold on. So the 2-bay shop is not getting the same discount that the 12. Is there still a volume?
No, they are getting the same. They're getting the same deal on the oil. They're paying the same amount for the oil. The 2-bay shop is paying the same amount of oil as that 12-bay shop.
Okay, that's what I wanted to know. All right, so the dues are the same. It's not a per bay due, it's a per shop dues, and the cost of the product is the cost of the product if you're in that group.
Right.
All right. So
it just use oil for an example. So they get a rebate, which we negotiated. So every quarter they get a rebate sent back to them, and that is based on their volume. So that individual volume. So, and actually I get a report showing everybody's volume. So I can see what everybody's producing. I mean, we have oil change companies in here, oil change shops. I mean, they produce a lot of oil. My own oil change shop is part of it. And so we were able to negotiate better deals. And even like, you think about it, like, uniform companies, right? Uniforms get expensive. So we negotiated a deal. So we had them in there, and then we bring them we wine them and dine them. And every time we might bring the oil company, we might bring the uniform company. Last one we did, we brought a tool company.
Well, uniforms are interesting because each shop's going to have their own uniform. So it's not like they're buying the same, they're not buying 5,000 of the same uniform, right? They're buying 5 of the same uniform or 10, right? And so, or 25, but it's not a large volume. And you're not, like when it comes to oil, this applies to everybody. It's a large volume when you add it up. But with the shirts and with the uniforms, it's not as much, right? But you still brokered a deal with them.
We still brokered a deal, and what we did is we had all of the uniform companies come in, and we said, hey, this is what we're going to do. We're taking this to everybody in our buying group, which started, it was kind of like we probably had 8 shops when we first started, and we're probably closer to 30 to 35 shops now. And it just continues to grow. So it's been word of mouth, and the people, they love it. And
where does that rebate come from, by the way?
The rebate comes from the oil. So we negotiate the price. Okay. And then they give us a rebate to go back to the individuals. So we negotiated. So it's, we could probably do away with the rebate and just do it, but it's not, we want to make sure that everybody's getting a fair shake as far as volume, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the guys with the larger volume will get a better rebate.
Right. I get that. I was just wondering from where it was generated. And so
oil change company is the one that does the rebate.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. And so what's the dues pricing? Like where was your strategy? Actually, you don't have to give me the exact numbers. But what was the thinking on, if I'm creating a buying group in my area with 6 other shops and whatnot, like how do I frame this out? How do I think about this? You had a setup fee plus an annual due. Do you try to keep it as small as possible? Do you try to keep it aggressive as possible so you can have that posh dinner?
It's $299 a year.
Okay.
$299 a year. That's their dues. Now,
yeah,
you'll love this part of it. So
they're going to save more than that. I would imagine they're going to save more than that monthly, let alone.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So the last meeting we had, so the company, our buying group, there's a rebate that goes to them, and there's a rebate that comes to us, to the group, to the CARSO. It's called CARSO, Cincinnati Area Repair Shop Owners is what it stands for. All right. So we've got such a large rebate back to Carso, our buying group. And at the last meeting, we handed out checks. Here's a check. Here's a check. Here's a check. So anybody that was using the oil and based on how much they did, we gave them all checks back and they were just blown away. They're like, yeah. I said, wait, the owner and I, the gentleman that does it with me, we decided we don't want this money. I mean, it's not for us. I mean, it's basically just to cover the cost of having dinners with them, bringing in speakers. So you got to make sure, because you got to bring in speakers and house them and stuff like that. But we had an overflow of money. It's not for us to make money. It's for us to save them money, save them time. And man, I'm telling you, it's just, and just.
So is there a lot of staff that's involved in Carso?
No, there's
or is it just you and?
There's three of us. We have one gentleman that does all of our bookkeeping, and he collects the dues. He sends out the emails. We pay him.
Okay, thank you. That was going to be a follow-up question. All right.
Yeah. So, sorry.
No, that's all right. I'm just trying to understand the structure of the setup, right?
Yeah,
so if you're trying to set this up, you probably need to hire somebody who's going to handle the monotonous paperwork. But find somebody in the group or multiple people in the group who have the negotiating quiver in their back pocket, right? That is skill set. And then you're picking up as many shops as you can in your immediate area. And then you're going and you have to set up an LLC. It's actually formal business structure. And so when let's say I'm a new shop, I pay my dues. Am I calling you to place the order, or am I still calling the oil company to replace?
As soon as you join our group, all of the suppliers get an email stating that so-and-so, this gentleman just joined the group. He now gets special pricing for his oil. Let's say he doesn't use the oil that we're using. He will, if he wants, he'll switch over to the oil we're using. And then the salesman will literally go in there and set them up. So I'll give you a perfect example is we had an oil change shop that joined the group, and he was struggling with who he was going with and who he was with. And this gentleman just came in, and and the salesman for the oil change company, for the oil change, supplier, came in and set him up. He's like, well, how do you get your oil from the basement up to the top? And I was, oh, well, we have to suck it out. We got to do this. We got to do that. He goes, no, I'm going to take care of that. He said, I'm going to put some equipment in here and we're going to do this way. And so he was blown away on how well the oil change, or how I keep calling it oil change, the oil supplier was able to help him and set it up. So yeah, it's, it's oil is the biggest one. I'll say that to anybody trying to start a buying group. Oil is your biggest one.
That's where you start at. Okay.
That's where you start at.
Not tools, but you mentioned tools at the last meeting, or that you had a speaker come in. So is tools the second one after oil? You go to tools, or what's next after oil? Tools
was a good one. They really like that. So
all right.
Since I'm part of this buying group, I was blessed enough to go to a tool show every year, and we were able to get the gentleman that we buy tools from to set it up to now help our buying group.
Okay.
So that they can do that. So, which is awesome. Here's another great example. We had a guest speaker come in, and, one of the biggest expenses in customer shops right now is health insurance.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yes.
Well, actually, I'm going to get on a soapbox real quick. Personally, I think it's weird that businesses determine what the best health plan is for their employees. As much as this industry is family oriented, and family oriented, even if they're not family, I just think it's like, as a business owner, I struggle. Is this the right plan? Does this employee actually need this particular plan? I don't know. And because, we're not 5,000 employees, I don't have as many options as others do. Right. So, I kind of wish we lived in a system where the individual, like car insurance. Like the employer doesn't get me car insurance. I get my own. So I'm sorry. I'm going to get off my soapbox.
No, so
For now,
so
it's employer driven. And I love that your buying group is helping with this. This is great. It's going to get more options. It's going to get better prices.
so this guy came last year. Okay. And this is the time everybody's getting health insurance right now. So we had the tool guys there. And so one gentleman starts to tell us about the health insurance guy that was there. And we said, stop. We need you to stand up here and tell everybody what's going on. So literally the guy that was doing health insurance last year, this guy came in and couldn't tell enough about how much money he saved him and how great he is. And, if he's got a problem like, hey, they declined me on this, why'd I get declined on this, on this surgery I wanted done? Then this guy would jump in and help out. I mean, so man, it's just, and even on the buying group, we kind of like, I like other shops. Okay.
Yeah.
I've got a lot of shops close to me and I'm friends with most of them.
Okay.
And when
And there's enough cars for all of us.
right, there is enough cars.
Yeah.
And, and you do things right, but one of the neat things too is we get together and man, we are all in the same room and we're talking shop. I mean, and you just hear so many good ideas and what other people are doing. And it's kind of like a 20 group, but it's local. And you're not just buying, but you're talking to other people about what they're doing and business. So it's really neat and it gets everybody energized and you get a great price. And there's so many avenues you can take with it. And it's not that hard to set up. It really isn't. I mean, you can do it as a one person, depending on your area. We just happened to have, when we originally started it, we had 4 people. 2 of the people sold their businesses, the automotive repair business, so they got out of the buying group. And then myself and another gentleman, we took it over. We own it 50-50. And we don't do it to make money. We're doing it to try and save money and to help other shops and to get buying power. And that's the big thing is you get buying power. So now those big box stores, the kind of deals they were getting, now we're getting. And, and it just, it's just a great idea. And we've done it for, I think we're probably on our 6th year of doing it. And,
it's relatively new then.
Oh yeah. Yeah. We've only been doing it about 6 years.
All right.
And it just continues to grow. People just continue to want to be a part of it. Some people own 1 shop. Some people own 4 shops.
Okay.
Some own 10 shops, so I highly recommend and encourage anybody out there that wants to do it. And, again, Brad, if someone wants to reach out to me, I've got no problem with that.
Oh, I appreciate that. Thank you for that. I'll pass that along. And I don't know if you see my eyes moving around the screen right now, but I'm actually trying to find, there's another episode that was recently recorded that will be published shortly, potentially just before this one. And so if you're listening to this episode, go back a few episodes before this one. There's a one-on-one episode with Corey from Michigan, Rosama, from Rosama Auto. And he also created a buying group. And the conversation went a little bit different than this one, but there are still some overlapping elements of that bond between the other local shops and the friendships that you can create and how you can actually help each other, even though you're also competing with each other. And, he actually talked in detail about not hiring the technicians from the others in his group. How, if someone does come to him, he goes back to the other shop owner and say, hey, you've got a problem with your shop culture. And I just want to give you a heads up because we're trying to help each other out. And, that's awesome, right? I mean, again, that there's a bond that we can create, not just in our coaching groups, but also not just cross country, but also locally. And the buying groups potentially can help with that. Now, So anyway, that I don't have the episode number handy, but to go check that out if you're listening to this and you just can't hear two different sides, or not sides, but two different ideas around it, and see if that's right for you. I think it's going to help a lot of shops to have more of that.
We've had the same situation where someone will text someone and say, "Hey, one of your guys is looking. He came and he wants to," and so they'll let each other know. And a perfect example is the guy that owns it with me. Um, he had a gentleman that wanted to work for him, and he was working for someone in our group. So he called the gentleman that owns the company and the group, and he says, "Hey, just want you to know so and so has applied for a job with us. I just want to let you know what's going on." And he goes, "Well, I don't really have a position for him. He's a great guy. He can really do this," and blah blah blah. Well, he kept him. He found a position for him. And, but, we always talk. I mean, never, it's just a big no-no to go and steal someone's employee, and we would never do that. We communicate with one another to let them know. And I like how you said, Brad, you have a culture problem in your shop. Most people leave shops not because of money, because of
Right.
culture. They don't lose shops they lose shops because of bad managers.
They lose technicians because of bad managers.
Yes.
Right. That's right.
Yeah.
And difficult coworkers sometimes, but
Yeah.
it's the overarching culture of the shop. Is it a fun place to work? And so I'll have people call me and I'll tell them about that social media strategy that I mentioned earlier, right? Just post about how awesome it is to work at your shop. And you mentioned about the interviews. Those are great, but also just showing them interacting, being authentic and in real time is a huge win as well. And so both are great key plays to do on your social media to help sell the culture. The customers like it, the employees like it. And so I had someone call me and they said, "Listen, if you're not a nice person and your shop culture is bad, this plan is not going to work for you. So just let you know." Right? It's got to be authentic. People know fake, don't they?
Oh yeah, 100%. One of the things in the buying group as well. So let's say someone says, "I don't need that buying group. I'm just going to go. Now that I got this price, I'm just going to go and I'm going to drop out and I'll save myself $300." They lose that price. Once they drop out, we call the supplier and say, "Hey, look, this guy's no longer part of the buying group. So you need to, you guys can work out a deal however you want, but he cannot get the deal that he's getting with us." And they know it because we bring a lot of shops to them. And so
what's your retention? Actually, let's reverse. How many people actually leave?
The only reason we've ever had anybody leave is because they sold their business.
Okay. There it is. Okay.
Yeah. Everybody's still there.
All right. And the new owner didn't buy it.
And the new owner didn't buy it.
What were they thinking?
I have no idea. It could be part of our problem is we haven't gone out to talk to them yet.
Okay. Yeah. Well, that's one thing that Corey was telling that he did. They went out and they solicited. They went to different shops. They walked in and said, "Here's what we're doing." Oh yeah. And is that how you started with the 8?
Yep. That's how we started. We just, we had one gentleman. That's what he did. He worked for another company, selling parts, and he would walk in the stores and tell them what we were doing, and he got them all signed up. And, that's how we started. And it's just continued to grow. I mean, we have where we had it this last time, we used to have it at maybe 5 tables. There was probably 15 to 20 tables this time, totally filled. We do let them bring their managers as well to the steak dinner, and we let them bring their managers. And, so it's gotten bigger and bigger, and we could fill this room. It's, but it continues to grow, kind of like you were saying, at a little bit of a drip pace.
Yeah. Yeah. Slow and steady wins the race.
Yeah. Slow and steady.
Okay. Well, on episode, let's see here, was it 54? You were on the panel. We were talking about documenting our processes for success and finding ways to improve upon it, but then also just kind of keeping track of, what if you don't have a documented process laid out in front of you, right, in front of your team, and they're bought into that and they're using it or not using it, then you can't go. If they're not using it, then you can't do this for a little bit. You can't go away for a weekend. You're tied to the shop. You're like chained actually to the shop. The shop owns you, and but by documenting those processes, you often find opportunities that you might not have otherwise realized. And one of those opportunities, if I understood that episode correctly, you mentioned about having a dedicated parts manager. And I floated the idea of a level A technician whose back is done and can't actually do, either that career path for that person is they're just coaching the rest of the employees and making more level A techs in the shop, or and they're just doing the diag and they're not doing anything else, or they're retiring. And if they're looking to retire but not really retire, maybe that auto parts position, parts manager. Can you lay out a little bit more about how you have structured? Does it really work for just one location, or does it work because you have 4 locations?
No, it works in each location. So
I'm sorry, you have a parts manager for each location, or one parts manager for all 4 locations?
So the 2 biggest stores, we have parts managers in each one of those. So there's a lot of positives. Okay, so we talked about it in your episode 54, like you just said, and the biggest thing that people couldn't get past was, well, that's another body. That's someone I got to pay. That's not really producing. They're not producing. So let me explain to you that, when you've got guys at the counter and gals, I have a female service writer, and yeah, she does a phenomenal job. When they're at the counter and they're trying to deal with customers, and then they're writing a ticket, and she looks over to the left and that guy's on the phone. She looks to the right, that guy's with a customer. The phone's ringing. She's trying to build a ticket. So now she's got to stop what she's doing, and she's got to, answer the phone and put whatever she's doing on hold. So she gets sidetracked. So that's one thing, right? I've got one guy dedicated. Okay, so let me go back. I'm sorry.
So either you're being sidetracked or you're sacrificing customer experience.
Yes.
All right.
Customer experience. So, she's like, hold on a second, or possibly a bad attitude, like, because she's trying to get something done.
Right.
And then someone's ringing or coming in. All right. And so the other thing is, someone comes in, she's typing out, oh, you're dropping your car off. We're going to do an oil change. We're going to check the brakes. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. Yes. God, you look beautiful today. You're very pretty, blah, 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 and she's like, oh, thank you. And, so she's built, like, she has a little bit of a rapport with this person, and she's like, and he goes, but, I don't have a lot of money, so I don't want to spend a lot of money. So boom, she's got that connection with that person. The parts manager doesn't have that connection. He's going to write it the same way. And every service advisor you have, I don't care what shop you're in, they all write it a little bit different, unless you have canned jobs for everything, which I doubt. And so everything gets written a little bit different every single time. And there's no emotional attachment when the parts guy is writing the ticket. He's writing the ticket based off, so customer comes in, your service writer writes it up. They transfer it to the technician. The technician looks at it, does his DVI, then he sends it up to the parts tech. And the parts manager then looks at the ticket, makes sure that everything is done, why they brought it in, then looks at the digital vehicle inspection, where's all the X's, where do we have to price it out? He prices it all out. When he's done, he marks it ready for sale. So then the service writer sees it's ready for sale. They go over it. They make sure everything looks right as far as all of the demands that the customer's dropping it off for. Then they proceed to make the call. So it just saves, it's more consistent, no emotional attachment. They're getting the best deals, okay, on parts, making sure that they're there, right? Oh, it's not there. So, I mean, everything about it, and the most important one is your GP, getting the right gross profit on the tickets, right? I was struggling with parts for a long time. long
All
haul.
right. So between getting the right price on each ticket, can you quantify how big a shop needs to be? Maybe by the number of bays, maybe by the number of cars. How many cars does a shop need to process to justify the that particular person? Because what I'm hearing from you is that by having a better GP more consistent GP across the board, you're going to grow your your total margin by X. And I need to make sure that that number is larger than the cost of that labor, right? All right. So, how many cars do I need to be processing to make it to justify a parts manager?
Wow. So that's a great question. So I'm a very large shop. I have, two of my shops are very large. They're around 8 to 9 bays,
Okay.
both of them.
Yep.
So I would say you're probably looking somewhere around 5 to 6 bay. I think you can make it work. Five to
Okay.
six bays. So I say that. So I know a 5 bay operation that does $1.5 million more than I do
Yes, I come across those as well.
with
Yeah, so
eight.
I get that. Yep.
Okay.
Right.
So it's not the size.
So maybe it's not car count. Maybe it's the number of, or maybe it is what is it, car count,
Well, I
or
would
is it the
think,
number of technicians
I
or the
think
number of
I
bays?
think you deal with a 2 bay operation, and there's a lot of 2 bay operations out there. I don't think you need
Yeah.
that,
Yeah.
but once you get up into possibly the 4, 5, 6, I think that's when you justify it.
Okay.
Usually, Brad, when you're dealing with the small shops, usually one of the owners is writing the tickets. So he is the parts manager and he's getting
Right.
what he's supposed to. But in a larger shop, so
And by the way, he'll never actually grow beyond that because he's being pulled too many different directions.
yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
But the parts manager now does open the door for the service writers to answer the phone calls, to wait on the customers. One of the things that one of my sons implemented is, all of our service advisors, when the customer comes in, every car, the service advisors do this. They put a floor mat and seat covers in every single car, and they put a tag number on it. And so they do that. I mean, it's like a machine every morning. The other thing we do is they have more time now. When a customer comes in, and I have 3 service writers and a parts manager, so there's 4 people. We pull all cars up. We take all the stuff out. We take the steering wheel covers, the floor mats, the seat covers. All of that gets dragged out so the customer doesn't have to deal with any of that stuff, and all cars get pulled up. So it gives them more time to do things like that, make it a little bit more personable when they come in. The whole wow factor, right? You're getting the parts faster. They're getting looked up faster. I mean, I had a car towed in yesterday, and my technician went out into the driveway, diagnosed what was going on. The transmission was out. You could smell it, and he crawled underneath it and could see that it's smoked. The person got stranded. Their transmission quit. So long story short, I mean, by the time I have I have 2 parts of my shop. One's on the main street and one's on the back. And
Okay.
By the time I got upstairs, I said, "Hey, did you look at that truck?" "Yeah, I already sent it to the parts manager. He's already pricing it out."
Nice.
I mean, that was 5 minutes. So
Right.
it frees up time for them to do the things right, to answer the phone, to maybe give a price on tires. I don't like to price, service on the phone if you can avoid
Correct.
it at all cost.
Right.
Pricing tires. We are a tire store, so we do a lot of pricing of tires. So it gives them time to do that. It gives them time to go back out and look at the cars themselves, the service manager or service advisors. So I don't have a service manager. I have service advisors and a parts manager
Okay. All
and a
right.
manager.
Huh.
A lot to process, but Brad, I just think I proved it to my accountant, who said, just like a lot of people, "I can't justify this." I said, "Well, I'm doing it anyway." And I did it, and the revenue came with it. The GP came with it. And I've proved to him that it works. And I talked a little bit about, a lot of people listen to this podcast will be on Tech Metric. I mean, is it going to be hard? I think you could have one parts manager, and I think he could do some easy lookups for people in a hurry. Like, okay, you got another shop? Hey, can you do me a favor? I need a brake job and an oil change put on this ticket. Can you do it? Boom, done. I got an oil change on there. I looked up front brakes, rotors, whatever it needs. It's all done. It's all been looked at. So there's no reason why you can't have a parts manager do several shops. That's my goal. My goal is to get a parts manager to be able to write, to be in a room and to be able to write tickets for several shops.
Several of your shops,
Correct.
Locations.
Correct.
Not through the buying group.
Not through the buying group.
But isn't that interesting?
It is interesting.
Is that almost like a new... Is that a new? Did we just invent a new service business where so it could be? I'll be your outsourced parts manager, and I don't even know. Okay, I mean, all of the software is cloud based.
Yes. Pictures. You got pictures. You know,
right.
A lot of times you go like, man, I need to look at that. Take a picture of it.
Okay.
Send it.
All right.
We could go off.
Listen, if you're listening to this podcast, you got that idea, and now you go do it. All I ask for is like 0.5% as a royalty. And Dale's laughing because he knows I'm kidding as well. But if it helps the industry, then have at it, right? That's great. Let's do it. But meanwhile, explore how you can make your GP more consistent. That's what I've heard today. And how do you do that by making your employees more consistent and more thorough with all of the steps they're doing. They're going to enjoy their job a little bit more, and you're going to enjoy their job a little bit more by canceling your Saturday hours if that's possible. I mean, all those things kind of are playing into the mix for success for your shop. Dale, so thank you so much for being here on the Garage Grid podcast. This has been a great episode. Now, I hope some of my episodes have gone almost 2 hours. And this one barely got to an hour, and yet at the same time, wow, there's a lot of information here. I hope everyone has heard it and has listened to it, and share it with. Well, you know what? Actually, guys, go back out to the Garage Grid Podcast Facebook group if you are trying to create or have created a buying group. I kind of want to hear how that's going and what's happening. So Garage Grid Facebook group and just kind of post your details there. And you know, if you have any questions for Dale, we'll be able to funnel them over to Dale. I'm sure you already mentioned it. You're willing to help out other shops. Absolutely. So thank you for that. And I don't know, any last thoughts before we close out this episode?
Nope, Brad, I really do appreciate it. And, you know, I'm sure we'll be talking again, and I'll make sure I go out there on that Facebook page too and make sure I follow that. And I really do appreciate everything you guys have that you have done for me, helping me out with some marketing stuff. And if you know, but that's why we do it, Brad. I mean, I think that's why you do it. I think you're trying to help shops. I'm trying to help shops. I think that there's enough business for all shops to get along and to work together. I think it's better that we work together versus not. And you know, who hasn't had a problem where, hey man, I've got a customer so-and-so, they're over by your shop, you know, they broke down or whatever. Can you send someone out? You know, we've all done it. And I think it's a good idea to be friends with shops and to help one another out. And there's plenty of work out there for all of us.
Perfect ending. Perfect way to stop this. So thank you for listening. Make sure you're subscribing and following the Garage Grid Podcast on Spotify, YouTube, or Apple Podcasts, wherever you get them. Make sure you're checking in on that Garage Grid Podcast Facebook page. And speaking of helping, if you're trying to figure out your next move for marketing, I'll tell you what it is. And it's not a generic, here's what you do for everybody. I'll actually look at your shop, your location, your competitors, and you could you can get access to that by telling me who you are by going to addi.me/jumpstart. That's addi.me/jumpstart. What a great way to kick off your 2026. Go get that done. Thank you, Dale.